Good morning everyone. Today our objectives is all about what is MVC, what are the effects of MVC to C# programming language. Next, what is MVC? MVC is an architectural pattern that separates an application into three main logical components: the model, the view, and the controller. This is the picture of a model, the view, and the controllers. Next, what is model? Model corresponds to all the data-related logic that the users works with. The example of model is the database, the file, or a simple object such as icon or character in a video game. Next, what is view? View is a UI logic of the application. It is also include UI components such as text boxes, drop-down, and etc. The view will also show you your final output. Next, the controller. The controller acts as an interface between model and view components, process logic, and incoming requests. It is the one who manipulates data using model component, and it is the one who interacts the views to render final output. Next, I will show to you the effects of MVC to C# programming language. First, it will develop the application to become faster. Next, it's easy for multiple developers to collaborate and work together. Next, it is easier to update the application. Next, it is easier to debug. Next, this picture will show you what the MVC for. First, the view. The view, user interacts with the view. Through the view, the user will see what happened to your system. Then, next, the view will alert the controller for a particular event. The view will send a request to a controller. Then, if the controller receives the request, the controller will command the model to do. The controller also receive requests. Then the model is the database of a system. When a controller command a model, the model will do, and then it will go again to view, and the view will show you your final output. And that's how the MVC helps the C# programming language to work easier. And that's all for C#. Thank you. And the next reporter that will report the PHP is Miss Sandra Yabut.
Thank you, Nico, for the introduction. So, again, I'm Sandra, and today I will be reviewing the MVC in the PHP programming language. So, let's get started. MVC, as we all know, is a software architectural pattern for implementing user interfaces on computers. So, MVC is widely used in a different programming language, like the C#, the PHP, the Java, and the Python. It is composed of three interconnected parts. We will know what the MVC stands for. So, MVC stands for Model, View, Controller. So, I will be presenting to you this diagram. So, this diagram represents the life cycle of the MVC. As you can see, there's model, view, and the controller, and the user, of course. So, what is the purpose of the model? Model is it solve The sole purpose of the model is to process data into its permanent storage or seek and prepare data to be passed along the other ones. So the model is like the storage area for the data of your system or the application. Okay, the second one is the view. This is where the data requested from the model is viewed and its final output is determined. It's like the web page of the home page of the website. Like it is where the fully furnished data is being seen by the user. Okay, and the third part is the controller. The controller job is to handle data that the user inputs or submits and update the model accordingly. The controller's lifeblood is the user. All the logic is handled by the controller. So the controller is like the manager of the system, because this is where the logic is processed, and the controller will update the model accordingly, and the model will seek the data the user wants to find or finding. Okay, and then the model will update the view. The view will make sure that the data is being appeared on the user screen. Okay, that's the life cycle of the MVC. So the main advantage of the MVC architectural pattern in the PHP are reusability, security, and increasing the performance of the application. Reusability, because it is less coding for the developer, less coding for the developer, and much more time for them to fully furnish their other problem. For the security part, because the data is being secured. Okay, it is stored into the model so that the data is secured to any attacks from the outside world. And for the last advantage, increasing the performance of the application, MVC has the ability to make sure that the PHP is well performed and more organized in the aspect of, because the MVC has a sequence, and making sure that the PHP or the application are more organized, and making sure that if we change the code, we can easily change the code into the existing code, making sure that we are the developer are not burdened in any form. Okay, so that's all. The next reporter is Miss Eunice Balansay. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful review, Miss Sandra Katrina, about the MVC on PHP. Now let's proceed on the MVC of Java. So we already knew that MVC is an architectural pattern that separates the application into three different logical components, namely model, view, and controller. Model is the component that actually holds the information of the program, or it serves as the database of the application. View is responsible for the data visualization, so basically it is the interface. And lastly, controller translates the user input and retrieves the data from the model, then finally send it back to the view layer containing the request information from the model. With regards to Java, we are indeed familiar that it is one of the most common programming languages that developers are using. So let's say, for example, we have a certain Java program. The user wants to see something which is located at the model, but the request wouldn't be sent directly there since the controller needs to do its task. Once the controller finds and retrieves the data from the model, it would be directly rendered to the view layer and be displayed for the client. In general, Java programming language uses Model View Controller for the faster and reliable data processing, and another thing is that Java applications could be easily understood by the users through MVC. So that's all for the MVC review of Java, and now let's proceed on the MVC review on Python with Miss Jeanette Medina.
Thank you for introducing me, Miss Eunice, and for the great and wonderful informative review about MVC on Java. So let's proceed for the last part of our discussion, which is the review of MVC on Python. We all know that Python is one of the popular programming languages because it can be used on different platforms such as Mac, Linux, Windows, and more. It also has a simple syntax similar to the English language. Its syntax also allows the developers to write programs with fewer lines than some other programming languages. I also have here the meaning of the MVC, which I gathered from reading some articles in the Google, which will help us to give a great review of MVC on Python. It is stated there that MVC are also known as Model View and Controller, wherein it is a widely used software architectural pattern which has three components, namely the model, view, and the controller. Wherein the model deals with the business logic, view for the user interface, and the controller to handle the user input, manipulate data, and update the view. From these ideas, I came up with the idea that the concept of the MVC pattern is very helpful not only for Python but also to the other programming languages like C#, PHP, and Java that was discussed before me, because it gives an outline on how the idea should be organized into actual code. It is also beneficial because it allows independent changes on the front end without any or very few changes on the back end logic, and so the development efforts can still run independently. Thank you, that's all.